Good evening. Can everybody in the back hear me if I speak on this volume? Imagine different spectrums, different layers. Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, layer 4. You don't have to label it, but just different layers. Just picture a diagram with different layers. Or like a picture or a drawing of the ocean with different layers of current. Or different wavelengths. And each section, in a sense, has a different color, for example. Just separate these out for yourself. So that there's this clear distinction, this clear visualization of different layers, different levels. Every level, in a sense, it represents levels of existence, just levels of consciousness within existence, or frequency levels. Every level in existence has its own points of view, the ways that it sees life, the ways that it understands and sees its present experience. We could also call these beliefs, in a sense, points of view or beliefs or perspectives. Each layer has its own sort of set of beliefs. Within one layer there is the possibility to expand your beliefs only till a certain point. And they're all going to have, every belief that you run into on that level of consciousness, they're all going to have something in common. There's something similar about them. They're of a particular level, they're of a particular vibratory nature. They have a particular feel to them. They have a limit to their understanding, a limit to how expansive these beliefs can be. If you go a level up, in a sense, then you naturally reach, from that point of view, you feel its freedom, which is great, it is. It's the expansion, so it feels like freedom. But as many of you who have been spiritually searching and practicing and finding and searching and practicing and finding and searching and practicing and finding and searching and practicing and finding, you will know from experience that one point of view that at first really did it for you, that first really liberated you, after a while it sort of grows stale. Have you had that before? Mm-hmm. You can use a particular pointer, particular meditation, or a belief to sort of counter a way of seeing life that you previously didn't use, but now that you're using it, you're gaining the freedom, the sense of freedom. And maybe at that point you call that freedom, period. You say, oh, that's the freedom, this is the way it is. Because it feels free. It doesn't feel like it's another layer of beliefs. It doesn't feel like it's another layer of perspective. It just feels so much more expansive than the previous level that we call it freedom. But in a sense it's just the expansion of consciousness. And once that starts to grow stale, there may be a seeking energy again. There may be a sense of not being entirely satisfied again. And so you search. In a sense, you have that urge for greater expansion again. And you again go a level up, in a sense, and reach that level where there is, again, different perspectives, different points of view that are more expansive in nature, or wiser, more loving, more in alignment with the idea that all is one. On each level of those perspectives, you cannot win from any of these perspectives. So let's just use a very common human one on a very basic human condition level, which is that of I'm unworthy. As soon as you grow up here, you're taught that you're unworthy. Basically, everyone, as I see it. So, on that level of I'm unworthy, there is no resolution to the idea I am unworthy. There is no resolution whatsoever to the idea I am unworthy on that level. It will always confirm itself. It can never compensate for itself. It can never find I am worthy on the same frequency as I am unworthy. The level which holds the belief I'm unworthy, from that level there is no healing of that perspective. It's always going to be right. You can't win. Realizing this, the best way to go level up is to admit total and utter defeat. instead of fearing that it's true that you're not worthy, and therefore trying to fight your way through life, trying to prove you are worthy. Instead, just say, it's true, I'm not worthy. Admit defeat. Say, it is true, I'm not worthy. It's actually true from that perspective that I'm not worthy. Well, okay, if I can't do anything about it, then who cares? If I don't have to fight to compensate for it, to prove it wrong, if I will always lose, no matter how hard I try, no matter how close I get, then finally I can lay down my arms and I can just relax and be who I want to be. It's always going to be true from a particular point of view that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough, no matter how well you perform, no matter how perfect you do the things you do to perform, to compensate. That seeking, in a sense, that suffering, that searching, that striving, is that compensation, that urge to compensate for that conditioned idea of I'm unworthy. But that compensation happens from having a portion of your consciousness be identified with that belief. Therefore, a portion of your consciousness sees through the point of view, I am unworthy. And that portion of your consciousness feels the urge. It is that portion of your consciousness that's looking through the belief I'm unworthy that feels like it wants to prove it's worthy. You follow?
Yes.
So it's never going to win because it's looking from the point of view I'm unworthy. So whatever it finds, it will always be true. So admit defeat, very important. And in a sense you could call this a different way of looking at shadow work, if you're familiar with that. It's just to come to terms to own the fact that you believe you're not worthy, so that it can let go its grasp of it, or rather you can let go of that level of beliefs. So you can say it to yourself right now internally. What are you most afraid of in terms of personal failure? What would prove that you are indeed not worthy? What could you do? What could you mess up in life? What projects are you currently excited about that if you'd fail would mean something, would mean a confirmation of I'm unworthy? What belief in yourself, what negative belief do you fear could be true? What are you subtly trying to compensate for? And it usually is a form of I'm not worthy. It can be I'm inadequate, I'm a failure, I'm not worth anything, I don't deserve anything. But it's a sense of I'm not worthy, I'm not there, I'm not good enough, I'm not perfect, I'm not loved. So find that belief that you're afraid of being true. And say to yourself internally, I'm afraid that it's true that that I'm unworthy, for example. I'm afraid that it's true that I'm unworthy. I'm afraid that it's true that I'm not perfect. I'm afraid that it's true that I'm a failure. And just feel the honesty of that within yourself. Feel the honesty of admitting that. And now say to yourself, it is true that I'm unworthy. And see how that may cause some uncomfortability. Because you still fear that it's true, but on some level you believe it's not the whole truth. That's why you keep fighting to compensate for it. You're trying on that same level to reach a state and to reach circumstances and to look a certain way in the eyes of other people that it will look like and feel like you are worthy. What is just a cover-up. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So what does it bring up for you the moment you say, first you say, okay, I'm afraid that it's true that I'm unworthy. And you sort of sink into that feeling and you take a deep breath and you go, okay, that's true. And you just feel the honesty of that. And then you go on and say, and yes, it is true. I am unworthy. I can't escape that. It's absolutely true that I'm not good enough. On that level, from that perspective, I'm never going to be good enough. You're always going to be right. You can say that to your own belief. You're always going to be right. I'm never going to make it. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be loved. I'm never going to be perfect. And sit with that admittance, with admitting that, and feel how that can cause some uncomfortability and the desire to sort of escape and go into compensation mode again. But try to sit with it for a moment. Try to feel into it. Try to not be afraid of the fear that it's true. Don't be afraid of being afraid that it's true. Therefore, it can help to say it is true. And then you may go, no, it's not. Let me prove it to you. It's not true. I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. I did this, I did that. Doesn't that count? Just sit with the feeling where you say to your own belief system, it is true that I'm not worthy. And it's true that I never will be worthy in your eyes. In my own eyes, from this level of seeing, I will never be good enough. Ever. No matter what I do. No matter what I do. This belief is more intelligent than any attempt to compensate for it. You can never escape it. It will always checkmate you. So admit, full admittance, that that belief is absolutely true from its own point of view. Sit with that uncomfortability until it becomes a sigh of relaxation, a sigh of surrender, a sigh of letting go of the struggle to try and compensate for it. Because that's where the real pain comes in, that's where the real suffering is. That belief, that feeling I'm unworthy, doesn't mean anything. What's so bad about feeling unworthy? Feel it. What's so bad about it? Is it inherently wrong? It's just a feeling. I'm not good enough. I didn't make the cut. My daddy doesn't love me. My mommy doesn't love me. They don't see me for who I am. My teachers don't see me for who I am. My friends don't see me for who I am. My partner doesn't see me for who I am. I'm not good enough. I'm not loved. I'm not perfect. I'm a failure. What's so bad about that? Why are you running for it? Isn't it much worse to run for it for years and years and years and try and compensate for it? Isn't that the struggle? Isn't that the pain? Admit defeat, and you'll be victorious. Try to prove that belief wrong, and you'll always feel like a failure. But actually feel like a failure, and it will resolve. Because that will give you a chance to, when you arrive at that sigh of relaxation, that sigh of letting go of the stress and the struggle of trying to prove it wrong, that you will feel unworthy. Not trying to prove to yourself that you are good enough. When you relax that, by seeing that you can never win that battle, that relaxation is actually a sort of like an ascension into the next level of consciousness, where there is different, more expansive perspectives available to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does it make you uncomfortable?
Yes.
Good. That's good. Because you've been running it from so long. You've been running from it for so long. So I don't expect you, and you shouldn't expect of yourself, to have that sigh of relief instantaneously, although it's possible. But the fact that you feel uncomfortable when you say to yourself, it is true that I'm not good enough. The fact that you immediately feel the urge to go out and prove yourself. Prove it otherwise. And just see that that attempt, that very tiny single attempt, is actually a symbol for your entire life. That's what you've been doing your whole life, to some extent in your own unique way. And see, just look at that belief, or look at that urge to then escape it again. When you say to yourself, it is true that I'm unworthy. And then that little, oh, no, it's not. Look at that and see that as your entire life. See that that encapsulates your entire identity, your entire life, your entire struggle, your entire search, even your spiritual search is polluted by it. Or especially your spiritual search. So sit with the uncomfortability, it's worth it. Sit with it, admit it again and again and again. Don't let yourself escape. See that truly it is true that you're unworthy. There's many perspectives out there, that are absolutely valid, from which point of view you are absolutely not perfect. You're absolutely unworthy. You can come up with a lot of perspectives that actually see it that way. And so it's true. From these perspectives, there's a lot of perspectives out there from which it is true that you're not worthy, that you're not good enough. So what? So what? It's true that you're not worthy from these perspectives. Really sit with that and admit that to yourself. And allow the uncomfortability to be there. Give it as much of your spacious awareness as you can. Just sort of rest into it. Admit that you're not going to feel well for a little bit when you're doing this. Admit or accept that it's going to be uncomfortable for a little bit. But see that it's going to save you the rest of your life. So it's worth it, those few minutes. And the more you're willing to actually accept it and meet it, and the more value you see in admitting that from that point of view you're never going to be right. You can never convince that point of view. You can only shift to a different frequency where that point of view is no longer believed in. But that from that point of view it's always going to be true. The more willing you are to face that, the more immediate that transformation happens. Anything that comes up for you that sort of stops the process that you'd like to share? That we perhaps could use as an example for the whole group?
I get the feeling that if I were to change something fundamental about how I'm doing life or experiencing life, then I would be okay with myself enough to experience something other than the fear of unworthiness or the actual unworthiness, and it comes through with in specifics with things I know I should be doing that would they're keeping me stuck. Come up with a whole list of them.
So what, do you feel anything is stopping you at this point from saying, okay, I see I'm afraid that it is true. I'm not even afraid to be unworthy, I'm just afraid that it is true. I'm not afraid to feel it. We're not afraid to feel unworthy. We're afraid that it's true that we're unworthy, that it's fundamentally true, that our nature is that we're unworthy. The feeling of unworthiness we're not really afraid of, we're just afraid of the fact that it's going to be true. That's why we keep compensating. So to admit that to yourself and to see, or to admit that you can never beat that point of view from its own point of view. And to admit that, and then to come to that sigh of relaxation, that sigh of healing, of stopping the fight, of checkmating yourself, and allowing yourself to, in a sense, advance or go beyond that level of perspective. Is there anything that's blocking you from that?
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the main thing that's blocking me is I don't really believe that even if I accomplish the things that I know that I need to do to be a better person or more spiritually in tune, that even if I accomplish them, that I would have the feeling of I am worthy and I am okay and feeling bliss or love or or whatever, that something tells me that even if I finished that list and was perfect at it, that I would still have this feeling. So might as well kind of stay stuck or not really put my energy there because it seems like it might be futile.
So not stay stuck, but admit defeat. It's true that no matter how good you become and whatever you can become good at, it's never going to be good enough for yourself. That point of view is never going to rest. So that's true, but that doesn't mean you're stuck. It doesn't mean there's no alternative. The alternative is to admit defeat. So totally that you don't care anymore about trying to prove it otherwise. Then you're free from the point of view. Then you're free from believing it. Then that portion of your consciousness which is looking through that perspective admits defeat, returns to its source, its whole consciousness, you, that whole beingness of you. And thus from that point of view, it will re-emerge in a sense on a level that's more proficient, that's more in alignment with itself. Does that make sense?
It does. It's hard for me to go from that making sense in my head to that making sense in a way that feels true, like an experience.
Right. Can you admit defeat? Do you have a particular belief like that? What will be yours if you feel comfortable sharing it?
Mine would be feeling like I'm absolutely okay and in this universe right here, right now, and despite life, because there's always going to be things in life, I can feel calm and peaceful and joyous and loving right here, right now, and actually experience it and actually have it be true. I feel like I tried for that, but I guess
But what's the belief that does not believe that?
I guess the belief is that I'm a human being and this is a condition that simply exists and that there's no real getting around it, no matter what.
How would you call that belief? If you'd bring it down to its bare bones, its essential, raw, negative belief, what would it be in one short sentence? I am
That's a tricky one. I am lacking, or I am not able to be a certain state, that state.
Yeah, I'm not able.
I'm not able, I'm not able.
Can you feel that?
Yeah, I can feel that.
Do you fear that it's true? Is there some fear that it will be true?
Very much so. Especially when I try to do spiritual work or meditation work and try to alter my belief system of this human condition and maybe see past it, and maybe there's this something that I'm not getting. And when I look at it, sometimes I stop and wonder if this either isn't true or isn't possible, or even if it is, I'm not ever going to figure it out.
Other people can do it, but not you, right?
Right. And I don't even necessarily totally believe that other people have actually done it. Maybe they've just done something like we're doing now and really gotten good at tricking themselves into something that feels like that.
Can you say to yourself, it is true that I'm not able? I'm not able to reach that state. I'm not able in general, period.
I can definitely say that.
Yeah. Would you want to say that? Like right now? Sort of as an example. Everybody can join in internally with whatever it is for them.
It is true that I am not able to feel that, to be that, to be in that state.
And it's always going to be true that I'm not able.
I don't want to say that.
I know! And that's that portion of your consciousness which looks through that belief and makes its life into a journey to try to compensate for that and prove it wrong. But it's doing it from the point of view of I'm not able. So it can never, it's actually true that you'll never be able to do it from that point of view. So that's why you have to admit completely that you'll never be able to do it.
Okay, well, I admit that I'll never be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel? Ever, like ever. Not just after never passes, then maybe then. No, ever, not ever.
I want to resist it. I feel like just coming here and sitting down and getting ready to listen to what you're about to say and meditating on that and working at that and going easy on myself, and that I'm going to gain it, that I'm going to get there. Right. So I don't want to admit that that's never going to happen.
Mm-hmm. So can you say it again? It's never going to happen.
All right. It's never going to happen.
Ever. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, it's never going to happen, buddy. You're never going to make the cut. It's for the elite only. And you're not good enough. You're not elite. You know that.
I know that, but I do clasp onto this idea that I might be, like.
Mm-hmm. You're not. Trust me.
Okay. All right.
I can tell you're one of those that are not able to do it.
Oh, I hate that. I don't like that feeling at all. I mean, that is completely admitting defeat. Like saying, "Oh, that voice isn't going to be answered. That itch can't be scratched." Then I'm just going to have to go through life and just kind of get what I can, and hopefully it's good enough.
You're not even going to be able to do that. Whatever alternative concession plan you've made, you're not able to do that. There's no escape, buddy. You're not good enough. Can you see that? Can you see that it's actually true? Those fancy ideas you have, you're never going to make them.
It's hard for me to see that as truth, to admit that. I'm trying to, but I keep wanting to believe in some alternative out.
There's an alternative, but from the level of that belief, it's absolutely true that you're never going to make it. And would you rather find the alternative, or would you rather try to keep working your way through that belief when you know it's never going to work? Isn't it better to admit defeat now than at the end of your life when you're about to die? Why not free yourself from that strife by admitting defeat now? What's so bad about defeat? What's so bad about not being able to do that? What remains? What's wrong with that feeling?
I guess admitting that just feels dismal. Feels like, yeah, completely dismal.
Can you admit it anyway?
I don't know if I can.
Do you want to?
No.
Yeah. Why not? Do you have hope?
I do have hope.
For how long have you had hope?
It's gotten pretty close to zero at times, but I think I've always had it.
So how many years is that?
For as long as I can remember, I suppose.
So with how much of a percentage of your life have you tried to achieve that which you've hoped for?
100% of my life.
And if 100% of you is not able to do it, then do you think that 100% of you is able to do it 20 years from now? You are not able, see? I'm not lying, I'm not just telling a story. You're not able. Otherwise you would have already been there.
And I've had that feeling before.
And it's true. It's actually true.
Okay, I can see that. Yes, I am not able.
And that's actually true.
And it is actually true, yeah.
Take a deep breath. So what? Now what? What's so bad about this? Does anything really change? You've been defeated. It's true that you're never going to make it, and now you know it. What's changed?
With that acceptance, you can kind of do whatever you want without caring about the consequences of what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And makes me feel, okay, well, whatever. If I truly believe that, which it's a struggle to see it, but that's the first thing that comes up is like, yeah, okay, then nothing matters.
Still a little bit scary?
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
You realize though it's absolutely true, right? Like it's actually true. Like there's not even, it won't do you any good to build up any hope again, ever, for this particular point of view. Even the acceptance won't get you there. Even not caring about it won't actually get you there by not caring about it. It's just, you're not able to.
I feel like I'm going to have to really sit with that for a while before I can really let myself believe that.
It's not so much believing because it's the truth. It's more seeing. Can you see that you've already tried with 100% of your time? And 100%, it's not going to get better than 100%. So what are you waiting for? You're only waiting, the only thing you're waiting for is not to achieve the thing you think you want. What you're waiting for is for you to admit defeat. You're just waiting for defeat. And that can be postponed as long as you like. If you prefer the state of waiting for defeat, waiting to admit that you're not good enough to make that you're not able, the state of waiting for that and planning your entire life toward that, if that's something you enjoy, then you can keep postponing that. If you're sort of fed up with it and you see there's no way out, then why not admit defeat now? Totally. Why not say I'm done with you? It's okay. So what? I'm not going to achieve what I want to achieve. I'm not going to be what I want to be.
Well, I suppose it's worth a try.
To still try it? You mean?
I'm still trying.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely still trying. I can't seem to bring myself there.
Do you like it?
No, it's very uncomfortable.
But it's not as uncomfortable as admitting defeat?
I don't know, because I haven't admitted defeat yet.
You had a glimpse of admitting defeat a few minutes ago, when you said, yeah, I can see that it's actually true. And was that so bad? Was that worse than the uncomfortability of trying and hoping and knowing in your heart, in your gut, that you're not going to be able to? Which one is more uncomfortable? That state of admitting defeat and relaxation and acceptance? Or the state of striving, trying to compensate, trying to prove the belief I am not able wrong by achieving the thing you want to be able to be?
Admitting it feels more peaceful.
Mm-hmm. Do you want that?
Definitely.
Are you sure you want that more than the hope that you are able one day, when scientists discover that 101% becomes possible? You see, it's kind of futile though, right? You see, it's a kid's fantasy.
I do see it, yes.
And you know in your heart, in your gut, that from that point of view, it's never going to work.
Yes, I suppose I do.
So you feel you're not able to. Can you feel that feeling, that raw feeling?
Yes.
That you're not good enough, that you're not able?
Mm-hmm.
And just feel the feeling of it. And don't go into stories and don't run away. Don't try to prove it wrong. Just feel the admittance of the feeling. Just feel the feeling, I feel not good enough. I feel unable. I am not able. And just sort of go through it. Let it be there. Let it be uncomfortable. Keep relaxed breathing and keep looking at it. See that there's an awareness of it. And just keep feeling it. Keep sort of trying to pinpoint where it is. Stick to the feeling, not to the story. Keep feeling the feeling. I am not able. I'm not good enough. I'm a failure already. Just feel that. What are you experiencing?
It's a mixture of something like some amount of peacefulness and still a lot of effort to keep from resisting, allowing myself to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
Feel a lot of resistance still.
So just take it gradually. gently, and yet if you want it, radically, meaning if you're tired and fed up of believing you can achieve something from the belief I'm not worthy, just see the struggle that brings in your life. See that the hope for achieving it is actually the belief I cannot achieve it. The hope itself, which you are still attached to, the hope itself which you don't want to let go, is the belief I'm unable. So while we think we're running away from the idea I'm unable and trying to prove it wrong, we're actually proving it right every moment. We're actually staying true to it. The hope itself is the belief itself. Can you see that?
I can, yeah.
And so can you see that from this point of view, it's actually true that you're never going to make it? Because even making it would be the belief I'm not worthy.
It's a hard one to hold on to, but I think
You get an instinctual sense of what I mean? That they're all tied together, what seems to be like failure, hope, and success, that they're actually one elastic band, just pulled into two different directions. But the direction of hope and even maybe possible success is actually just the opposite, and therefore is the belief I'm unworthy. Without the foundation of the belief I'm unworthy, there wouldn't be hope and there wouldn't be success. Because what are you successful toward? You're successful to proving wrong that you're unworthy. And so success is founded on believing you're unworthy. So you're continuously entertaining the idea you're unworthy. You're not able. Even standing on that mountaintop and reaching it, yes, 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 I'm able. You're actually saying, I'm unable. I still believe I'm unable. That's why I'm celebrating that I'm able, because I still believe I'm unable. And that's why it's not going to last. So it's actually true that you can never win. And it's actually true that you're never going to be able. Shit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. How does it feel? Mixed feelings?
Definitely mixed feelings.
Little sort of like an identity crisis. A little bit like, oh, not sure where to go, what to do.
Exactly.
Sort of like fragmented pieces of uncertainty or confusion. Perhaps.
Definitely a real state of insecurity.
Mhm.
Like what? Well, now what? What now?
Yeah. And now what is the dawning of so what?
I can kind of get it. It feels a little bit like a smirk. Like, all right, so what?
Keep seeing that it's true. That achievement is based upon failure. That you're no more secure or able or capable or desirable or worthy when you're on that mountaintop and you've achieved the thing that proves the belief I'm unworthy wrong. Because you wouldn't celebrate if you wouldn't still believe you're unworthy. You can't win. It's more intelligent than we are. The very journey is based upon it. We're playing by it. We're playing by its rules. Everything within the game of trying to prove the belief I'm unworthy wrong is playing the game of I'm unworthy. It's playing us. We're playing by its laws, its rules. We can never escape that world until we admit defeat. And that is exactly what it wants to hear. It's the only answer it will ever accept before it gives up its game. You are right. I'm not worthy. You see there's no escaping?
Yeah, I see it.
Do you like it?
Not really.
Not really. But do you feel an opening?
I do, actually. Yeah, I do feel. I feel like there's space beyond that. I don't know what it is, but it's
It's uncertain by all means,
right.
for sure. It's not what you thought it was. It's not what you've prepared yourself for. It's not the game of unworthiness. But that's why it's beautiful, because for the first time ever, it's not. You're not playing by the game anymore, by its rules. You're entering a new game. You're entering a new layer of perspective. It's expansion, it's freedom. It is unknown to the mind because it's unfamiliar with it, but it's not unknown to the universe. So it's not actually scary. You don't have to figure out the new rules. They're already there. You're already taken care of even in that level. It's not a new thing. It's known all the time, and beings experience that level of consciousness all the time. So it's not a new state, and you're not going to encounter any new dinosaurs that you need to fight or things that are uncertain. It's only uncertain to you, but it's not uncertain in and of itself. It's totally clear. So it's safe to go there. It's safe to go into the unknown because it's unknown only to us, not to itself. We are not actually creating that new level of unknownness. We don't have to explore the rules. They are already there. We're just entering that level. So there, it's already set. You're safe, you're comforted there, and there's many beings that exist on that level, etc. So the fact that it's unknown is not meaning that it's not safe. That's my point. And a part of your being has always already been on that level of self-awareness. So it's okay to let that hole rip open, tear, how do you say that? Yeah, rip a tear in the veil of that veil between the first level and the second level, if you want to see it like that. So that feels like an openness, like an unknownness. But let it happen. Let it rip. Because you can't win, and you've seen that now. So it's time to move on. You say bye-bye. Thank you. I see you. You were right all this freaking time. What was I thinking? I was playing by your rules, trying to somehow create a rule in your game with your rules. I was trying to use your rules to create a new rule. It's impossible. I was already game over before I even started. And yes, and you can give yourself all the space you need and all the love and acceptance and allowance and restful awareness you need to sort of let your system come to terms with that. The fact that it's letting go of something that it's lived in for so long may be a little bit disorienting at first. And if you don't try to grasp for anything you already know, and just sort of, the only thing you can grasp for that you already know is that spacious awareness. Grasp for that. If anything, grasp for that beingness, that love, that essence, that freedom that you already know, that stability of awareness. Be only that, hold on to only that, so that you can allow everything else to sort of find its place. And trust that that new level is already completely known to your being. You just haven't seen it in a while. And gradually, you'll start to see that it's actually very enjoyable to admit defeat. At first we don't want to admit that it's enjoyable to admit defeat, but we'll admit that too. Just because it feels so good that we don't care whether it's true or not. Whether that means we're not good enough or not, we just don't care anymore. It's the so what. If you let that now what be, that state of confusion and sort of like, I'm not sure, I want to move on. If you let that now what be there, it will turn into so what. It's bigger brother. In a sense, it's the lower self that always asks the higher self, now what? And the higher self always responds, so what? Great job, buddy. Thank you so much.